Hello and welcome back. Once again, it is time for the golden age of DC Comics. 365 days where I take this beloved hardcover coffee table book given to me by one of my best friends about 2 decades ago. This has been surfing my coffee table ever since. And what goes better with a coffee table, some coffee table books, some coffee table talk? Ha ha ha. Pull up a chair and bring a cup of whatever your favorite is. We're going to have some coffee table talk, some conversations about comic books. Ooh, that's good. Fresh coffee. Ethiopian Yergachefe. The DC's golden age of comic books runs between 1938 and 1955. The Silver Age begins in 1956 and runs until 1970. The Bronze Age, I'm a Bronze Age baby, runs between 1970 and 1985. And the Copper Age begins in 1985. This is an Abrams press publication, 2004 book, written and curated by Les Daniels, Chip Kidd, and Geoff Spear. There is a link to the Amazon page in the description if you'd like your own copy. It's going to look great on your coffee table, and it makes a great gift for any geek. I know. I use this book for its intended purpose. We're going to open up to today's date. It is July the 23rd. We're going to look at some comic book art. We're going to read the blurb, and then we're going to talk about comic books. And we're talking about comic books every day for the rest of the year. We are, and I need to start off my show with something that matters very greatly to me. It's called the escapism caveat. Listen, activism is very important. Activists are important. The world has its problems. The people in this world are affected by these problems. The wildlife, the environment, everything is interconnected in this world, and activism truly matters. They, prima facie, they are good people, they are well-intended, and they literally are trying to save the world and the people in it. I respect them. Yet, for the past several years, activists are acting like bullies. They've invaded fandom spaces and sports spaces, insisting that they use these pre-existing spaces as their platform in which to disseminate their message, agenda, and social mores. I object to that. Activism has its space. Activism has its place. I respectfully ask them to stay in their lane. Escapism is just as important as activism. Escapism is our means to forget about this world's many problems just for a few moments in a day, to get a respite from this. We could be a space pilot or a pirate or fighting aliens. We could be a gangster. We could be a sports hero. We can get involved in the game. We can root for the home team. We can. It's where we can forget about the world's many problems just for a few moments. And honestly, it takes some bully or asshole to constantly want to rub your nose in these problems without a break. I mean, only a bully would do that. And to use awful proactive labels, calling you a bigot or an ist or a phobe because you're objecting to them, literally taking advantage and using our fandom spaces for their messaging. I see through it, and I object to it, and I defy the bully, and I stand up to the bully. And yeah, come and get me. I'm right here. The line's in the sand. And you try to obscure the lines because that is just part and parcel of the tactics of postmodernism. And so it is an intellectual colonialism. You have invaders coming into a preoccupied space that has its culture, its history, and its mores. And with the sheer intent of taking advantage of that population and changing that space to make it conducive for their own needs. I'm a student of history. That's all I see when it comes to the motive of activism. I mean, I can respect an activist, but do the activists respect us? No, they don't. They're taking advantage of us, and only we can stand up to them. But let us get back to the matter at hand. I'm using this book for its intended purpose. We're going to open up to today's date. It is July the 23rd. We're going to look at some art. We're going to read the blurb, and then we're going to talk about comic books. And we talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So let us get to it. And I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're clobbering your problems and not having your problems clobber you. And I hope you get some escapism to take a break from these problems. All right, let's punch some Nazis, some real Nazis, not just some creep that disagrees with you on Twitter and doesn't buy the same comic books that you do, or someone who objects to your activism. They're a Nazi? No, go fuck yourself. Sorry, go away. You know what I mean? That's what the block button's for. People like you, not to be taken seriously anymore. Sorry, I got compassion fatigue for you people. Oh, yeah, I know that you're trying to do the right thing, but you know what? Oh, God. What obnoxious, insufferable. All right, let's look at the art. That is the mighty Atom, Al Pratt of the Golden Age. 5'1", the diminutive powerhouse. Indeed, it's a power fantasy. Let's talk about it. It's July the 23rd. This is story by Gardner Fox. Art by Bill Flinton from All-Star Comics number 4. Cover dated March-April of 1941. So World War II has been going on since 1936 over in Europe. The United States won't even enter the European theater until D-Day, 1944. The United States, and in Africa as well, but it was more of the Pacific theater since 1942. And so this predates World War II just a little bit. But everyone knew it was coming, huh? Published months before the U.S. entered World War II, this story concerns itself with fifth columnists, subversives, and saboteurs operating as agents of the Axis powers. At the beginning of this issue, the unnamed director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation calls upon the entire Justice Society of America to combat the menace. Here, college student Al Pratt, also known as the Atom, confronts the Fatherland Club, a fascist organization on campus, even with a conflagration looming. The wisecracks are flying as fast as the fists. Where the mighty Atom says, "I feel like a xylophone player." Whack, whack, whack. Getting 3 of them in one mighty punch. And notice the speed lines. And that's a follow-through. The follow-through is the strong position of animating or drawing a punch and a strike. Look at that. Our eyes read left to right. So our eyes are literally reading into the punch. If you mirrored this and flipped the image, it would be a less powerful punch because we're looking through the shoulder. We're actually being punched by the fist along with the 3 creeps. The fatherland was a euphemism used by Nazi Germany, and that was definitely meant to evoke that there were Nazis in America. Yeah, so this is propaganda as well, and maybe a little bit of that activism that we were warning about too. But you know what I mean? That's part and parcel for the golden age of comics. It's part of the fun of looking at these comic books from our advantage in history, being like, oh wow, this is pretty racist. Oh wow, this is pretty propaganda. Oh wow, this is pretty silly. You know, it's interesting. I love that these magazines and these stories are just a slice of the publication history of that era, and about how it's a window into that past. We had just got out of the Great Depression. We're going about to be in World War II. There was a technological innovation. It was like a second boom of technology, going from airplanes to factories making cars, and this factory output that America achieved, to television, radio, and to movies, and how these are disseminating information, and also to the space race, the atom bomb. What an interesting time. And we've been in interesting times ever since, in my humble opinion. But let's talk just a little bit about the Mighty Atom, and something that I just picked up on doing some research for today's episode. The Mighty Atom was Al Pratt. He was a college student and a superb athlete, a proficient boxer. He was also immune to radiation for some reason. The character was literally 5'1", and he was picked on because of his diminutive size. But he worked out, and he worked at himself, and he became a power fantasy of the little guy who was able to compete and even succeed against much larger opponents. I don't know if they were stronger, because he was pretty darn strong himself. And the Atom first appeared in All-American Comics number 19, October of 1940. He continued to appear on through issue 72 in 1946. In 1947, Atom moved on to All-American Comics, from All-American Comics to Flash Comics, and continued there until February of 1949. In winter of 1940, the Atom also began appearing in All-Star Comics as a member of the JSA. That went from issues 3 through 57 in February of 1951. But little did I know that this guy, the Mighty Atom, shares a history with an early 20th century strongman. Now, if you're ever wondering what's up with the trunks on superhero costumes, the trunks being the underwear-looking motif underneath the leg tights, or over the leg tights, giving a definite look of wearing your underwear over your pants. A lot of that came from the strongman. The strongman was this early 20th century. In the 19th century, the term strongman referred to an exhibitor of strength or similar circus performers who performed feats of strength. More recently, strength athletics, known as strongman competitions, have grown in popularity. We still see the strongest man competitions, on sports television here and there. But there was an actual historical person who was known as the Mighty Atom, and they had nothing to do with each other. But I gotta tell you that everything in my sense of lateral association tells me that Al Pratt, the Mighty Atom, must have taken his name and must have taken the same cut from this historical person. His name was Joseph L. Greenstein. He was born in January 2nd of 1893, and he died in October of 1977. And he was better known as the Mighty Atom. Joe Greenstein was a 20th century strongman, and he was very popular. He was an immigrant. He came over with a Jewish family from Poland. He was sick. He had asthma and tuberculosis, and he was 5'4". And what he did was he became the Mighty Atom, a strong man. He was in print publications, and he was famous. He was a celebrity for his day. He had a wife and 10 children, and even and one of his grandchildren, Mike Greenstein, was on America's Got Talent, America's Got Talent. Joe's 93-year-old son, Mike Greenstein, appeared on America's Got Talent in 2014 and successfully pulled a 3,500-pound, that's a 1,600-kilogram, car with his teeth at 93. Wow. The story of his life has been told by Ed Spielman in the book The Mighty Atom, and he may have been the inspiration for the fictional character of Al Pratt, a costumed crime fighter who went by the alias of the Atom. And that's when when we're talking about comic books, If you want to talk about Al Pratt, you're usually talking about the Mighty Atom. And when you just say the Atom, we usually think of the Silver Bronze Age reboot character, Professor Ray Palmer, the Atom, who was able to shrink his body down into an atomic size to solve problems on a smaller scale. And he's often paired with Hawkman. You see Hawkman with a little blue and red guy on his shoulder. Well, that's that's Ray Palmer, the Atom, the second DC Atom. And also Al Pratt had a grandson named Al Rothstein, and he was the strong man, the sheep growing member of Infinity Incorporated, the Bronze Age Earth 2 second generation comic book that I grew up on as a kid. And wow, we've been talking about comic books, haven't we? And we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern US, and we'll find out who we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. I make daily content here. We talk about spirituality, gratitude, cooking, bunnies, planets, and comic books every day. So I would love to earn your subscription. So tune in, like and subscribe, and turn on those notifications, please. Thank you so very much for tuning in. God bless, namaste, good luck, and we will see you again tomorrow in those funny pages. Cheers. Bye-bye.